McGill's front gates, police officers form a wall, others on horseback watch closely, here to prevent two groups from clashing on campus. Pro-Palestinian protesters on their sixth day camping out, calling on McGill to divest from all funds and organizations with ties to Israel, including Ari Naaman.
We are calling for the end of the genocide, and we're explicitly calling for divestment from McGill and Concordia, who are giving money to weapon manufacturers.
On the street in front of McGill, a crowd of hundreds made up of members of Jewish organizations and counter-protesters have gathered under a sea of Israeli flags. Scenes from the Hamas attack in Israel on October 7th play out on a big screen. Many here, like Josh Shizgal, say they're hurt by the slogans and chants used by those at the McGill encampment, ones they find anti-Semitic. Shizgal says he wasn't comfortable speaking out before, but now, with his community behind him,
we come here today, just to fight this hatred with our love and just seeing our community here and then, trying to put some balance.
Those on the other side deny any hatred, adamantly saying their demonstration is peaceful, their slogans meant to support Palestinians, not harm Israelis. After a tense day, the counter-protesters here went home. Those at the encampment remain, some empowered by the Quebec Superior Court rejection of an injunction to end the protest. While police are now present, there's been no intervention.
It's clear for me that it's illegal and we have to respect the law.
But in Quebec City, Premier François Legault has made his position clear.
What are you asking police to do?
To dismantle encampments.
Right now?
At the time that they will judge that will be the right one.
So a pretty firm statement by the Premier there, Sarah. I know it's hard to tell at this point, but is there any indication as to what could come next?
Well, Legault hasn't said if he's ordering any further action. He has just told police to do their job. Meanwhile, in Ottawa, Justice Minister Arif Virani saying that police operations should always remain independent no matter what politicians say. But he did say to protesters here, they have to remember to follow the rule of law.
All right, Sarah Lovett at McGill University tonight. Now back to that new encampment at Canada's largest university, where protesters say they won't leave until their demands are met. Just like at McGill, demonstrators at U of T are demanding it divest from all investments that fund Israel. The university, on the other hand, is warning of consequences, including suspension for those who break the law or school policies, one of which restricts the formation of encampments. And at the University of British Columbia, new tents went up throughout the day. It is one of at least 3 protests at schools in BC, one of which began yesterday at the University of Victoria. There is also a camp set up in front of a library at Vancouver Island University. And in the U.S., that major encampment at UCLA is now gone. The protesters arrested after a tense, hours-long standoff with police. Lindsay Duncombe is in Los Angeles for us tonight to show us how this is all sparking a conversation about the limits of peaceful protest.
With a crush of force in the wee hours of the morning, the encampment at UCLA came down. Police fired rubber bullets. Protesters threw projectiles, but it appears no one was seriously hurt.
We consider it a successful, incident. We didn't see no injuries on both ends.
More than 200 protesters were arrested, a violation, they say, of their right to protest the war in Gaza.
I think that police uphold the system of oppression, and obviously it's not right. They're just upholding the status quo. So we need to resist, and we need to keep protesting, and that's the only way change will be made, right? By resisting the status quo.
In 2 weeks, it's estimated more than 2,000 pro-Palestinian protesters on campuses have been arrested. This morning, Portland police cleared a campus library. And overnight, arrests in at least 3 other states. In the nation's capital, though, police have chosen not to move in. a contrasting approach as campuses across the country grapple with how and when to limit protest. Boundaries the president attempted to explain.
Destroying property is not a peaceful protest. It's against the law. Vandalism, trespassing, breaking windows, shutting down campuses, forcing the cancellation of classes and graduations. None of this is a peaceful protest.
Many see what's happening through their own experience of the complicated and brutal war in the Middle East.
I hate it. I hate it.
This retired judge is Jewish and glad to see the barricades in Los Angeles gone.
I love the fact that a generation that might be known for apathy is getting engaged. I don't understand the cause that they're getting engaged for.
Lindsay, you're at UCLA again tonight. Looks pretty different behind you.
Yeah, there are no tents, no protesters. Classes will remain virtual tomorrow, and there is still a pretty strong police presence. And that's because the law enforcement officials do not want to see protesters come back and build up another encampment. That's something that we have seen on other campuses. You know, one side effect of all of these arrests, Adrienne, is that it has seemed to sharpen the resolve of some of these protesters to keep fighting.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. Lindsay Duncombe at UCLA.